I don't know who the audience for these is anymore. It's certainly not me. Although, it's weird because it really should be me. But Call of Duty Vanguard is yet another lazy, unimaginative installment in this series that refuses to both grow up or choose a direction where its really bizarre juvenile tendencies could be satisfied. It's not outrageous enough to be like Wolfenstein, which is bar none the funniest, best satire of war games at the moment. But it's not also a simulation, it's not reverent of any sort, it's got a weird jingoism in place of reverence that it thinks is the same thing, and it just reskins itself every year to create the exact same experience, and it sells like hotcakes. And this is a really weird one to review, because at the same time, I don't believe that Activision and Activision Blizzard, as they're known today, really deserve any of the publicity, because, well, Bobby Kotick is evil. You've seen probably the news going on right now, and there's nothing good that can come out of reviewing a product for them. So instead, let's talk about why Call of Duty is the way it is, and why does it sell 20 million copies per every installment. But the truth is that apart from the obvious, which is what you get when you throw money and human suffering at it, you know, the Naughty Dog way, you get really exciting set pieces. But even those are starting to be well mined out, because after all, this is again World War II, even though everybody has red dot sights and silencers and, you know, nothing that actually was in World War II. It's basically just a modern-day shooter that happens to look like World War II. But we've seen all these before. We've seen the invasion of Stalingrad. We've seen the Battle of Midway. We've seen these since the beginning of the franchise, and this series absolutely refuses to do anything new with it. It thinks that it's somehow now progressive because it's cast, you know, a Russian woman and British people of color, and it isn't. It just feels really tacky, because they're kind of writing on the fact that, hey, look, we finally acknowledge that other people than white Americans fought in the Second World War, when that's common knowledge. And, okay, the story isn't hugely bad. It's basically what would happen if Michael Bay made a war movie, without, of course, you know, even the modicum of wit that Michael Bay brings into his films. You run through linear levels where a roller coaster ride shows you some explosions, and you shoot nameless and faceless henchmen who either yell curses in German or in Japanese, you know, when it's convenient, when you want them to be completely faceless. And then when you want them to have some kind of a personality, you have really terrible American voice actors doing German impersonations, which is, of course, them going, "Oh, now we are evil, yeah." And, you know, it's stuff that was in the 90s when this first-person shooter genre started becoming a thing, and you had the first Medal of Honors, and you had enemy territory. You know, you could get away with that because people didn't know any better. Gaming was kind of in its infancy, and it kind of still is. We're not progressing anywhere with this. And, you know, the gameplay is, if you've played a Call of Duty, you've played them all. You are not getting anything new. I could say the exact same things that I said about Black Ops, that I said about Modern Warfare. You're playing the exact same game. There is nothing that I can say. If they had even done, you know, the bare minimum, made the weapons behave in a way that World War II weapons behaved, at least that would have been a discussion point about, you know, them trying to do something else. But instead, it's just because they are trying to build themselves around Warzone, which is their battle royale, and that was, for a while, extremely popular, and now it's kind of tapered off again with Activision's latest horrific scandal that has come out. And the whole thing just feels really cynical, really outdated already. And I really do hope that the lesser sales numbers this year is not just because we have a Battlefield game, and that's its own can of worms. I will review that later this week. I really hope that it means that we are getting away from this kind of audience, that this kind of audience is growing up and we will be seeing less of a demand for this kind of game. It's just, it's not interesting, it's not fun, it's a miserable, dull slog where you can see the hundreds of millions of dollars that has been spent on it. You can see that in every frame, and you can't see an ounce of originality or interesting thought or any kind of nuance put into it. It's just, I am so tired of these, and I just have nothing good to say about it. But even beyond that, there's a intensely negative, there's almost a vile atmosphere that permeates throughout this game, and permeates throughout most of Call of Duty these days. And we have other shooters, like Apex Legends, to show that you can make a battle royale that isn't so godforsakenly toxic. Like, every element of this game, from the multiplayer, is just, the characters all shout obscenities at each other. Every single animation for a kill is, you know, needlessly made to be vulgar or humiliating. It permeates this kind of culture of being an asshole. And I'm really tired of it. I don't see why it needs to be like this. I don't see why we would want to willingly put ourselves in a position where that's enjoyable, because it doesn't need to be. You have so many other options in so many different games where you can just have these same experiences, have this group experience of competing who has better reflexes, because that's all this is, really. And you can do that in Halo, you can do that in Apex Legends, and you can have an atmosphere, have a experience that doesn't make you just really feel miserable. And I don't know if it's me getting old or more sensitive or just waking up to the fact that you don't need to be constantly shitting on other people. Just really, I am so tired of it.